Hi, I'm Nicolene Peck, and I'm a parenting expert and author, and I teach all kinds of things about parenting, but what a lot of people don't know about me is I also have taught many people to read because I'm a lifetime homeschooler. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to teach kids to write a story. We all know the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, which is supposed to be arithmetic. But usually the one that is the most difficult for people to grasp is the writing. And that's because it involves multiple different functions of the brain. There's the organizational component to it. There's the tactile component to it. There's the creative component to it. And trying to get everything down on a paper. So many people know that one of the best things to start with when it comes to writing is story writing. And that's what I want to share with you today is how you prepare your child to write a story and some things you can do in the minute to help them through the process. I'm going to share with you 7 keys to teaching children how to write stories. And then if you stick with me all the way to the end, I've got a bonus for you. I'm going to teach you how to help them improve their writing once they get started. As a homeschool mother of 4 and a previous foster parent of many troubled teens, I had to help multiple people learn to perfect their writing skills or to learn how to write just in general. We started from nothing and got to very proficient college level writing. And I knew that it was important for my children to learn how to write because if you don't know how to write, then you don't have freedom. There are multiple reasons we write. One of those is voice. Every person needs to have a voice. And in this day and age, writing is a huge medium, especially in all of the online platforms that everybody goes to for their news and for their research. We need to have people who can write and who can share something, take a stand for something in the world. So writing is vital. But another thing is the creativity component. So people really do love to bring order and creativity to their world. Each person, when they feel themselves write a story or create something, they feel differently about themselves. It improves confidence. In fact, every person, I think, was meant to be a creator. And when we create stories or when we create other literary works, we actually pave the way for future creations that we might have. So now we're going to talk about these 7 keys of how to teach kids to write a story. Number 1 is read to them. If you want them to write stories, you actually have to be making sure that you're reading them stories all the time. And please don't read them just the junk fluff that you can find anywhere. When you read them stuff that is classically put together, that has stood the test of time, that truly is good writing with good language and good organizational structure, their brains will be formatted to want to put those stories together and to understand the components of a story. Now, don't just stop at reading to them. You're going to want to discuss with them too. What is it that you're reading? How did the author get that point across? And just do it in a casual way, not like it's a major lesson. If you talk about things that you read in a casual way, then those things go deeper. But if they become a lesson, then it seems too serious and sometimes even a little stressful, and the brain will shut off and stop processing those bits that you're hoping will really sink deep. Key number 2 is narration. So as a homeschooler, I learned this from Charlotte Mason. She was an old-time educator from the 1800s, and she talked about the importance of children learning to narrate their thoughts. So as I read to my children, I ask them, tell me, what did you think about that paragraph? Or that particular character? What did you think about when they did this? Or do you think they could have done something different? And we really go deep and start narrating what they got out of it and what they thought about it. So don't just stop at discussing, because you also should be writing down their thoughts. So let's say you read your children Jack and the Beanstalk. You're going to discuss the story of Jack and the Beanstalk after you read it, and then you're going to sit down at the computer and you're going to say to your child, how about you tell me the story of Jack and the Beanstalk? Or why don't you tell me what you got out of the story of Jack and the Beanstalk? Now, normally the beginning stage is just have them repeat back to you what they know about the story, and you type it word for word. It's okay to add punctuation, but type it word for word. And then after you have it all typed up, then you pull the child close, you print it, and you say, look at your story that you wrote, and you read it to them word for word. And if they're a reader, you maybe even have them read along with you as you read that story. They see they wrote a story. This is a huge thing. This is the beginning stages of a person preparing to write their own stories. Then take that story, do something with it. Show them how powerful that story can be. So in our family with Jack and the Beanstalk, we read the story, we discussed the story, we wrote our own versions of the story, and then we got out the puppet stage and we acted out the story that they wrote, which had a few differences than the real story of Jack and the Beanstalk. But it showed them that what they could create could turn into something even bigger than a piece of paper. Key number 3, you need to write your own stuff. If you just talk about writing, judge their writing, and try to get them to write, that is not motivating. They need to come face to face with greatness, face to face with a real writer. This is why you read them the stories that you read them. But write things too. Now, you don't have to write books. I write books. In fact, let me show you some of my books. So, these are some of the stories that I have written for children. I also have lots of other stories that I've written for adults that relate to good parenting and raising good children. If you want to find some of these children's books which teach children skills like following instructions, accepting no answers, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately, or any of my other books, you can get those at teachingselfgovernment.com. If any of you listening already have some of my books, I'd love to know which ones you have. Do you have parenting books? Do you have children's books? What ones are your favorite? Put it in the chat below. But you don't have to be a published author to inspire your children to write with your own writing. Do you keep a journal? Show them your journal. Read them some of the entries out of your journal. Do you write letters to people? Do you write letters to them? This shows them that you're a writer. And if you are a writer, then they'll think they should be a writer too. This brings me to point number 4, which is you really should keep a journal. If you do keep a journal, you can put your story in your journal. And maybe you should help them keep a journal as well, so that they have a place to record their story. Number 5, it's time to actually start making that story. So what you need to do is make a one character story. This means some experience that happens with one character. They do one thing and they have their own hero's journey. Maybe they decide to clean their room all on their own. Maybe they decide to save a frog from drowning somewhere or something that happens. I don't know. Do frogs drown? Probably not. That's probably not a good topic. But they come up with one person. They develop that one person and they decide what problem that person is going to solve in their story. The story does not have to be long. It could be one paragraph. It could be a few paragraphs. But this first story is going to teach them what it means to have a character and how to help that character accomplish something that makes a story transformational, not just something to read to spend your time. Number 6, plan a hero's journey. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take that character, you're going to add to it. So you've made your first little story. That's the beginning. Now you take that character, you add other people that come into it. Well, if there's mom and dad in the story with the clean room, what was their part in that story? Did they teach them how to clean the room? Did they help them clean the room? Did they tell them to clean the room? What did mom and dad do in this story now? So we're going to bring those other characters into the story and we're going to develop that journey that that hero has. Soon that character now has emotions, feelings, things they like, things they don't like that they might have to overcome. Number 7, after you talk all of this out, put it down on paper. So the first bit you're going to put on paper, that first little one character story. Then you're going to discuss it, add notes and things. Now they're ready to write the full story. Don't worry about grammar and all that. Not yet. Just get it on the paper. Now we're ready for the bonus that I promised you at the beginning of this video. If you want your child to love writing, whether it's stories or anything else, there is a formula for giving feedback. And I think sometimes we're so particular about the things that don't matter that we ruin the voice or the creativity that's coming out. So at the beginning, it's all about the voice. It's all about what they're sharing and what the story is. It doesn't matter if the word people title is spelled different every single time they write it in the story, at first that is not the point. Once they've written enough stories and they've gotten into really loving the process of putting their thoughts down on the paper, then you say to them, hey, would you like to learn a little bit more about how to make your story even better? And then they'd be like, yes. Now keep in mind, before that, you've been giving positive feedback all the way along. Not the kind where you blow it out of proportion, but where you say, oh, I really like how you had the character decide to tell the truth. Oh, I really like how your character decided to do something nice for somebody else. You tell them that you see the ideas in their brain are worth sharing. That's what makes a good story writer. That's what makes a person who feels like they have something to share with the world. After that, tackle grammar bit by bit as they're ready. Once they become an even better writer and they're really dumping out a lot of stories, they'll be begging you to know where to put the commas, periods, punctuation, and what there is the right there for this sentence. There are so many things that we teach our children. In fact, the next video I have, I know you'll enjoy. It's called How to Teach Problem-Solving Skills to Children. Go ahead and click on that link that's in the description below and you'll find that video.